This topic is a little bit of a personal thing for me.
Oh, yeah?
There's this long-running joke in my family. So my wife's family lives in St. Louis area, Southern Illinois, and every house, they live in kind of a small town, but even like outside of their town, every house that they know of, somebody living in, every house they've ever lived in, they all have basements, mostly finished basements.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's a giant house or like a small ranch. Every single house has a basement, and it's so shocking to them when they hear about houses that don't have. It's like they just can't even compute that there's houses that don't have a basement. It's like that common. So like my wife and I's first house, no basement. Our current house, no basement. My parents' house, no basement. Both of my sister's houses that they've had since I've been with my wife, no basement. Like, so every house that, when they come to visit here, every house they've ever been exposed to in this area, there's no basement. So my father-in-law especially cracks it because he's just like, yeah, they don't have basements in Indiana. Like, he just assumes that like nobody has basements here. And I've tried to explain, like, there are basements, but in your experience, is there something to that, like in central Indiana, where it's like, because it is crazy when I go to visit there, everybody has a basement.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people.
Are they in Tornado Alley or something? You know what I mean?
I mean, Southern Illinois, close to Missouri. Yeah, they
maybe
could be.
Water tables can determine that. If you
Yeah.
got high water table. But anyway, I say this about basements. I love basements, but I'm not gonna say what I was about to say. They'll cause you problems.
Yeah.
Basements are a problem. Eventually, at some point, they could be a problem. We do a ton of basement build outs, and there's a lot of leaky basements. There's a lot of things that just like old basements, like especially a block foundation basement. Mm-hmm. The mortar, if it's not sealed on the outside, you don't have a perimeter drain. It can leak in over time. There's ways of drying out basements too.
Yeah.
But yeah, every basement. Fun fact for me, every basement I've ever had. I shouldn't say that. I'm jinxing myself now. Has flooded. At some point we get a 6-8 inch rain, and some pump power goes out, some pump stops, and it fills up with the water. I'll never forget. We lived on another house down here in Plainfield years and years ago, and Jen's like, I just stepped into a foot of water, and the kids were real little. They're like, I'm like, get out of there. It's like, are we going to get electrocuted? Like, no, you're not going to get electrocuted, but man, we got a problem. You got to get all that water out of here. So what happens is you turn the power back on, and the sump pump sucks it out. But then you got all that repair to do. You got mold issues. If it's clean water though, and it's just a little, if you get it dried out, you're usually okay. But if it's sewage, you gotta remediate. Yeah. But it is kind of true. A lot of houses here where we live are slab homes or crawl spaces or basements. If you had a walkout basement, that'd be kind of cool. But like a basement, it's a hole in the ground, man. You're living under the ground.
Yeah. So when I was in college, I was in a fraternity, and it was down in Evansville, right by the Ohio River. So that's where this house was. And it was an old church that probably wasn't in great shape before it was a fraternity house, but it was not in great shape after. And I remember my buddy and I, we were going over there like the semester. It was like getting ready to be a semester break, and we were going to be moving into the house the next semester. So we're like, let's go check it out, And it used to flood like crazy. So all the bedrooms were in the basement of this church, and the top would look just like a normal church. So all the bedrooms were downstairs, and there was an exterior stairwell that like had 2 stairs going down into like a little landing, and then you could open a door, like a full-size door. And I'll never forget, it was like right before we were supposed to move in, we had this bad rain there, and there was a drain at the bottom of that landing that would get clogged all the time. So it would fill up almost like a pool, and then it would just go right into the basement. And I remember we opened the basement door, and it had flooded so much. There was a guy on a raft, laying on a raft, floating down the hallway. It's like, hey, what's up? And then like people's stuff is just clothes are floating everywhere. Yeah. Like, this is where we're moving in.
That's
like,
a bad
in a month,
man.
And it flooded all the time. Like we would be in class. I remember sitting in class a couple of times, and we'd get a text. Like it's raining outside, and you get a text, everybody get to the house.
Oh
it's
my
flooding.
gosh.
And we'd all just like get up in the middle of class
And just bucket it out or
yep,
what?
Yep. Just
Oh,
grab
geez.
buckets and scoop out that, try to get, yeah.
I hate, we get a lot of calls, and we do a lot of remediation work too, but it does break my heart when I hear somebody's basement floods.
Oh, man.
Because I know the pain that they're going through.
Yep.
I've been through it myself.
Especially
You've been through
basement.
it. And I'm like, yeah, finished basement is, oh my gosh, it's actually heartbreaking, to be honest with you. And they're never fun because everybody's kind of just, it just sucks.
Yeah.
It just sucks. There's nothing good about it, right? But there's companies, that's all they do. That's all they do is just do remediation work. We do that and then put them back together. But it's really setting people up to never let that happen again with your backup sump pumps. You know, a lot of people don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
Till they have that experience.
So maybe what are some of those things that you guys will do? You know, I know some things you can't avoid, but
we put alarms on. Nowadays with phones, like you can get moisture meters that can text you like, hey, we gotta, like, say your water softener. Or I just had our water heater replaced. I mean, it was dripping. You know, it almost rusted out to the complete bottom, and it could have flooded the basement. But we have these little, I forget the brand, but they're wired, but if they sense moisture, it'll send me a text. That's something we suggest.
Yeah.
A backup sump pump is a must, in my opinion. It's also a maintenance thing, and you got to set this in your phone, like every year, 6 months, whatever. Make sure that battery's charged. Have a trickle charger on it, something to make sure when the lights go out, that battery is fully charged so that it can keep pumping water out. Because that's what happens is it stops and your basement fills up with water. Yeah. There's other ways to flood your basement. I've had people, do their own plumbing, and then a water line popped overnight and just flooded their basement. Right? That's terrible. Like, you don't want that. Some people let a toilet overflow and it just keeps. There's just circumstances. Sewers back up. There's ways of. 1,000 ways your basement can flood, but at the end of the day, it just sucks because there's one way in and one way out, and you're demoing, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, and they're not cheap. They're typically a little expensive, and then you got to really watch your insurance coverage. That's something people don't talk about. A lot of insurance policies will pull that out. Like, you got to be very intentional with your insurance agent. And ask that question. Ask every question. If I decide that whatever your fear is, ask that question and make sure you're covered for it.
Yeah. Because
that's that's what'll really bite you. If your basement floods and you think you're covered and you're like, well, you're not covered for that. Well, there's $50,000 that you're out of pocket.
And I imagine that's probably one of those things where they're going to want to know, did you have a sump pump? Did you have a backup sump pump?
They'll
Because
want
even
all
if
that.
you had the coverage, if you didn't have all those things in place, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't talk about, like, the insurance side of stuff a lot. At least I don't hear it. But that's something that, we've got insurance on a lot of things. I'll just leave it at that. And I'll ask direct questions, like, hey, if a plane hits this thing, I just ask those questions, and they're like, yep. If not, then let's get a policy on it. If it means that much to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to insure my mailbox, right?
Right.
I can afford to swap out my mailbox. But if my house burns down, I want to make sure I'm covered for everything. So that's basements and insurance. I think there should be a conversation just on those two together.
Yeah.
But so, do you wish you had a basement?
I do. Yeah. We always say if our old house had a basement, we probably never would have moved. So we liked our neighborhood. We loved the house. It was just a 3-bedroom ranch. Yeah. But I say that we probably still would have, but that setup is ideal.
Yeah.
Like I like a ranch with a basement. That would be kind of perfect.
Every house I've lived in, I've had a basement.
Really?
Come to think about it, I just went through all of them in my head, all 2, 3 of them. Yeah. Every house I actually live in has had a basement.
Yeah.
And I think every one of them's flooded. I don't even know. Like, the one we're in now has not flooded since we owned it, but I know it did flood.
Yeah.
Or it did flood, sorry, at one point. And that was bad. I don't know if you remember this in Plainfield. This is probably, don't hold me to it, 12, 13, 14 years ago. Do you remember when Saratoga just flooded? Like we had a rain, and
I don't think so.
Like you know where we live.
Yeah.
Like that whole Fairfield Road was all underwater. It was so bad that the news people were there, and there was guys kayaking up, kind of what you were talking about. They were kayaking up and down the roads, and you couldn't get to houses. It was bad. Like a lot of people's stuff flooded. I want to say that was like 12 years ago.
Do they know what caused that?
Well, we got so much rain so quickly that the storm sewers, and then after that they added more.
Okay.
I'm getting this wrong, but just they revamped it so it doesn't do that again or anymore. But the retention ponds came out of their banks and just water went everywhere. And I'm talking, this was a historical rain.
Yeah.
Like one we hadn't seen in 100 years,
Wow.
something like that. But yeah, basements are either love them or hate them. I'm 50-50 on them. Like in the wintertime, it's cool to be down there, watch movies and whatnot. But every time it rains, I'm like, man, this would really suck if it flooded. Because all your stuff's down there, too.
Yeah.
Couches, your whatever.
I feel like if you ask people that work on them, like a home inspector or like a mitigation company, they'd all say don't get one just because they've seen the worst of the worst. But
I mean, everything has their benefits, their pros and cons. A slab home has its pros and cons. A crawl space home has its pros and cons. Basements, the same way. But a lot of that dictates like where the water tables are.
Yeah.
If you have a very high water table and you're putting a basement in, I mean, expect it. At some point, you're gonna be on vacation or something's gonna happen. Yeah. It's like having a deep freeze, and it never fails for me. And it literally, I'll get a half a beef, and before that beef is over, that freezer goes out. It's it's like a curse. But basements and deep freezers are two things that I would just be real weary of.
Yep.
Make sure your insurance policies are good. Yeah, but that's a good question.